What's up, everyone? I figured out how to get XSplit working. I had to deauthorize and reauthorize my account, so that seemed to work. I'm going to have to change the title because this is not the title that I wanted for it. All right, so anyway, we'll get some people on board here. I was going to switch over and do it on YouTube, but that wasn't working out either. So anyway, I got Facebook fixed and working out. So you can ask any question in the comments. I'll try to keep up with them. I did type some stuff to talk about because it's a lot to remember, and I'm pretty good at remembering things, but I'm not that good at remembering things. So that's why I decided to type things down. What's going on, Eric, Jennifer, Jim, Andy? Appreciate you guys tuning in, and again, I'll leave this up and make it public. I think it's already public, but you guys can share the replay of it. Hopefully this works out well. Again, this is live, off the cuff. It's not like pre-scripted or anything, so if I make a mistake, don't shoot me. What I want to talk about is the FDA's announcement today that they're extending the deadline for the vapor industry basically to August 8th, 2022. And initially, everyone's going to come out and say, wow, what a huge win. And it is a huge win on a small scale, though. What we have to do is take this into perspective and consider that we have a long way to go. Today's actions by the FDA gives us time, which is the most valuable resource known to man, something that we'll never get back. And I've been thinking that we would see some administrative relief. I've been saying it since Gottlieb was named FDA commissioner, and I thought it was going to come around October, November. It's a little sooner than I expected, which is good. So yeah, it gives us even more time, a couple more months, which in the long run might be the, make or break us. So first and foremost, everyone should thank Dr. Gottlieb for understanding that vaping is about harm reduction, that combustible tobacco is the true enemy and not nicotine. That's a unique approach in the FDA that we've never seen, that I can recall anyway. And I think that with someone like Dr. Scott Gottlieb as the FDA commissioner, we're going to see a shift in focus on the FDA from their approach has been basically quit or die, and I think now we have some new leadership in the FDA that understands harm reduction as an aspect of the overall scheme of things. You have more deadly combustible tobacco cigarettes, and then you have a spectrum going all the way down to not smoking at all. Somewhere towards this safer alternative spectrum would be the vaping industry. And I think that he realizes that, and I think that that's a fantastic thing. So everyone needs to take just a minute to tweet or post on Facebook or send an email or send a handwritten letter or whatever, something that says, thank you for understanding that vaping is about harm reduction. The combustible tobacco is the true enemy, not nicotine. Okay, so some of the key aspects from today, and I'll show a little bit of the video of him talking. I'll post the links also in this. As soon as we're over, I'll have the links for the press announcement and also the video that I'm going to be showing you. But yeah, so some of the key things from today's announcement by the FDA. The requirements already in effect, such as sales to minors, etc., stuff that went into effect last August, stay in effect. All the requirements not yet in force, submission deadlines for ENDS, ENDS, electronic nicotine delivery devices, and electronic nicotine devices, are now 8/8/2022. Okay, so it's just over 5 years, 5 years and a month, and whatever it works out to. So we do have more time, as I discussed already, to work on a few specific and much needed things, and I'm going to list out what I typed down. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is just what I thought of at the moment to speak to you about right now. We have more time to work on changing the predicate date. Okay, that's a must. We have to get the predicate date changed. Now, there are some allusions. He alluded to a few things in his speech that may or may not affect that. We don't know yet. Without us not having any certainty, HR 1136, we still have to push. The Cole-Bishop Amendment, if it can make it into the appropriations bill, we still have to push those things. Work on long-term regulatory framework via federal legislation. This is something that has already kind of in its infancy stages, but we need to, over the next 5 years that we've just been, given basically as a gift, we need to work on long-term regulatory framework via federal legislation with Congress. Okay, that's imperative. We need to amp up statewide advocacy efforts. The states will turn up the heat from their side for sure. We can't become complacent. We can't sit back and think, wow, this is a huge win. Screw you to all of our enemies. Absolutely not. We need to continue being on that course of, if you don't have a statewide advocacy organization, start one. There are plenty of people out there to ask for help on how to get it going. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a struggle. Every day it's a struggle. But it's worth it. 100% for sure worth it. When you can, in your state, fight back unnecessary and overreaching regulations that would harm vaping and the vapor industry as a whole and prevent us from getting smokers off of combustible tobacco. So don't take your eye off that ball for 1 second, because I guarantee you we're going to see a lot more increased activity from states and localities. We need to focus heavily on irresponsible marketing. We need to eliminate IP infringing and child-friendly labels from this industry in the United States. Eliminate them. Not, oh, well, change our labels and make it a little bit better. Eliminate them completely. They need to be gone. And there is a consumer effort already in the works to help with this. More to come on that in the next few weeks. I've been asked not to say too much about it right now because they're doing a big unveil, and I think it's going to really help on that end. So keep your eye out for that. I'll definitely share it as soon as they say it's time to share. We need to work on building a wealth of data via research initiatives regarding vaping. There is information out there galore, but we need to have some more finite and concrete information. It sounded again like in the press release and the speech that Dr. Gottlieb did, that they have some plans to ramp up research from the FDA's perspective into vaping and harm reduction alternatives. So that's a positive thing. We need to continue to target smokers and introduce them to vaping as an alternative. Okay? Adult smokers who can't or won't quit smoking, we need to do our best efforts to get those folks introduced to vaping. That means every one of us taking care not to blow our hands off or blow our faces off with a mod and create negative news stories. Safety is key. Practice safe vaping. Make sure that you're aware. I mean, with regulated devices out there now, even if you're vaping unregulated, it's safe. You can do it safely for sure. Just don't do things like leave your battery in your pocket where it's going to connect with some change and vent and blow up in your pocket. So all of us can do something in that regard. Just make sure that you're vaping safely. Make sure that you are talking to smokers about your experience with vaping and how it was able to get you off of combustible tobacco after your years-long fight with it, because like everyone else, I wanted to stop smoking a couple years after I started, but I couldn't. For 15 years I smoked cigarettes, and it wasn't the last 12 I hated it, but I was addicted to it, and that's where vaping came into play. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to be telling smokers, and we need to continue getting them off of combustible tobacco. And again, the more that we switch over from smoking to vaping, the bigger the amount of testimonials we have and the actual life evidence that we have in our arsenal to use when we're talking to legislators about the benefits of vaping. Okay, so we also need to strengthen our relationship with the Gottlieb FDA. I believe he wants cooperation and collaboration from a responsible vaping industry. We must have input into the revised rules. They mention, and they allude to it, and again, you can read it in the press release, that they're going to be a revised set of rules regarding the registration process and everything. But especially because he made a note to say this in his speech, especially regarding flavors. So if we can build our relationship and our rapport with the Gottlieb FDA, and we can explain to them the importance of having flavors for adult smokers and having options for adult smokers, that's imperative. We have to do that. And the only way that we're going to do that is by creating that relationship with the Gottlieb FDA. It doesn't have to be with Scott Gottlieb himself. I'm sure he's a very busy man, but there are folks in the FDA who work for him at the Center for Tobacco Products that we can certainly, and I wouldn't necessarily say befriend, but we certainly should present them with viable facts and information. So, yeah, those are some of the things that I had down that we have more time to do. What we cannot do over the coming years, the coming few years that we've been given to work on this, we cannot continue to defeat ourselves with irresponsible actions. Okay? When you have cartoons on your labels, when you I don't know. There's any number of things irresponsibly that we're doing. Manufacturing e-liquids irresponsibly, not in a clean room or lab. I don't know, any number of things with your marketing, with the industry as a whole. We can't continue to defeat ourselves with irresponsible actions. And again, that goes back to safety as well, as vapors. Not only is the onus on the companies out there, but it's also on us as vapors. We cannot waste this time we've been given. 5 years will fly by very quickly. I'm going to have a little sip here because I notice my voice is getting dry. My throat, not my voice. 5 years is going to fly by, and we have a lot to do in that time. We cannot see this as a win that ends the war to firmly entrench vaping as a replacement for combustible tobacco. This is not the win that we need. This is a win. We cannot become complacent. This is not the end. We are still deeply embedded for the fight of the vaping industry's life. Okay? This is something that's going to take years, maybe decades. This is something that gives us what we need the most, and that is time. Okay, I want you all to understand that. It's definitely the most positive thing that I can think that's happened to the vapor industry since I've been involved in the vapor industry in 2013. That's right, 2013. So yeah, it's a great day for sure. But we have a long way to go, and I don't want anyone to lose sight of that. And I don't want you to think that it's all going to be sun and roses from here on out, because we have a lot of work to do, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have the time to do that work, and what I'm saying is seize this opportunity. Don't waste it. Let's grow up. Let's become an industry that we can be proud of. Every time we talk about it, all those negative stories you're going to hear, all the negative images of cartoon bottles and stuff like that, all that's going to disappear and be a part of history that we as an industry grew up from, overcame, and saved billions of lives throughout mankind. And that's something that you're going to be proud of when you're 80 years old and you're thinking about what did you accomplish with your life, what did you do when you're on your deathbed. This can be something you can look back and be proud of, ladies and gentlemen. You have helped future generations of human beings from the scourge that is combustible tobacco. So yeah, anyway, that's about all I had for my points. I'll flip back over here real quick. Oh, I did want to show you a few clips, and let me do that real fast before I flip over and look at any questions or comments. So Dr. Gottlieb actually, and again, this is going to be a little rough because I'm doing this on the fly here. So I did mark 5 different quotes that he actually said during the speech that he gave this morning. So let me flip over to the right monitor, and I'll show you. The first one talks about the potential for ends as part of the solution.
And we must also recognize the potential for innovation to lead to less harmful products, which under FDA's oversight could be a part of a solution. While there's still much to research to be done on these products and the risks that they may pose, they may also present benefits that we must consider. FDA's investment in regulatory science will eventually answer many of these risk-benefit questions.
Okay, that was the first one. The second one, he's talking about reduced nicotine in combustible cigarettes, but not ends, but not vaping. So they're going to want to reduce nicotine in combustible cigarettes to make them less appealing, but they're not going to do the same thing in electronic cigarettes or e-liquid, because they realize that the nicotine is what addicts smokers, but it's the tar in cigarettes that kills them. So let me go to that clip real quick.
Looking at ways to reduce nicotine levels in cigarettes so that they are minimally or non-addictive, while not altering the nicotine content of non-combustible products such as e-cigarettes, is a cornerstone of our new and more comprehensive approach to effective tobacco regulation.
Okay, that was the second one. The third soundbite that I wanted you to hear: encourage smokers to use ENDS, E-N-D-S. Which is the first time I've ever heard that publicly from the commissioner of any commissioner of the FDA, but that's, awesome. Let me get to the point here. I'm getting close to it. It's not exactly on it, but anyway.
All of the requirements for newly deemed products that have already gone into effect will continue to stay in force. In a world where there is no mandated reduction in the levels of nicotine in non-combustible products, our compliance policies should account for changes that will move addicted smokers down that continuum of risk to these less harmful products.
All right, so again, that's encouraging information to hear. And then I heard something that I'm not really sure how to interpret. I think it has to do with the predicate date. We could see some changes with that forthcoming. I'm not sure. Take a listen. Tell me what you think.
In addition, we'll also be revising the so-called sunset policy through additional guidance so that existing products under review remain on the market. The current policy could have forced existing products off the market.
So he acknowledges there that the current policy, the current FDA deeming regulations could have, I mean, he's saying could have, but it definitely would have forced products off the market. And then the last one I thought was very good and is very telling about Dr. Gottlieb and how his mindset is about vaping and harm reduction. So let me just play this for you really quickly here. It's towards the tail end of his speech.
We have it within our grasp to use the tools of product regulation to dramatically reduce tobacco-caused disease and death. And I can think of no more impactful action FDA could possibly take on my watch to help American families.
Okay, so yeah, that's some, you know, really awesome sound bites by Dr. Gottlieb. So I think we're in for the most promising next few years that we've had to actually get some stuff accomplished to save this industry, save these devices, and ultimately save lives. So if you didn't get a chance to watch this live, or even if you did right now and you're watching, please make sure that you share it, tag some vapors and smokers that you know, tag some vaping industry businesses, both here and abroad. This is going to bring back a lot of confidence to the marketplace, and we can continue to expand the vaping industry in the United States. And again, I've said this for all along, the larger we are as an industry and the larger we are with consumers who are vaping and not smoking cigarettes, the more power we have. And that's just the way that it works, ladies and gentlemen. We have to have the numbers. We have to. And we need businesses to invest. I've heard a number of shops say that if they had some confidence that the industry would be around further than next year, they would open 5 or 6 shops tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Start scouting locations. Start spreading your vape shop industry businesses. Start expanding your e-liquid manufacturing. If you make mods, if you make drip tips, if you make glass bottles, plastic bottles, anything to do with the vaping industry, plan your expansion now. Now is the time. We need to make this industry as large as possible in the next couple of years. And that starts at the ground. Don't ever forget it starts at the ground with converting smokers over to vaping. Okay, that's all I had to say for today. Let me check and see if we have anyone with any comments. Let me refresh this. I don't actually see a lot of comments. Yeah, marketing and bad PR is killing us. Absolutely agree with you, OC Bateman CJ. You're welcome, Chris. We can all do our share. If we all do our share, it's going to be a lot better. Sean, I covered that already. He says this is going to give the individual states and municipalities motivation to try to implement their own rules and regs. So the state organizations need to be prepared to fight like hell. Covered that already. If you want to check back, I'm not sure at what minute point it is in the video. But yes, absolutely do not sleep on the states and localities. It's going to become even more difficult there at that level. But at the federal level, again, this gives us time to work out something at the federal level. I don't really see any other comments right now, so I'll end it here. Please share the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll definitely check it out. I might even upload this to our YouTube channel. I got to figure out how to get this off of Facebook and then upload it to YouTube. But anyway, I appreciate you guys all watching. I appreciate you sharing. Great day for the vaping industry, but we have a long way to go. Don't ever lose sight of the fact that we're here to convert smokers and eradicate combustible tobacco. Guys, remember that you don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Get involved.